Argentina and Iceland share the spoils in the Group D opener. Croatia and Nigeria play later on this evening in Kaliningrad. And Didi, I know that's not the outcome that you were expecting, it's not the one you were predicting, but in many ways, you know, have we to revisit the qualifying campaign and how well Iceland did, and that really it's possibly something we should have thought was on the cards.
No, you can make a case that they deserve the point because they played with endeavour, they fought for each other, and when there was a hairy situation, they got blocks in and then the keeper made one or two saves. I think today you can say Iceland arrived on the world stage, and I think even in South America they would know where Iceland is, how many people live there. Yeah, they deserved that draw. They were magnificent from start to finish, the way they battled, the way they fought. In Argentina's case, I've got a feeling that 10 players on the pitch give the ball to Messi and say, go on, do something. And this is not how you win games, and this is certainly not the way you win championships. And they've got a lot of work to do. So I thought at the start, you know, they've got a chance. Seeing this game, I'm not too sure how far they can go, because I think they may even have a job on their hands getting out of the group now, because in Croatia and Nigeria there's two other good teams.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, and we almost touched on it a little bit at half-time when we mentioned that Argentina are inclined to route everything through Lionel Messi. And the problem is, Lionel Messi wasn't involved in all of their friendly internationals prior to the start of the World Cup. OK, when he did arrive on the scene, he scored a hat-trick and all was well in the camp. But it's very different when you come into the white-hot heat of competition, and he hasn't been around, and they're trying to build the team around him. They make no secret about it.
You can understand it to a degree, but then equally you have to know that the opposition are going to counteract that. And the way that Iceland set up is so impressive in terms of nullifying what Messi did. He was only 1v1 on probably a handful of occasions, and there was still a back four beyond that. Didn't get into dangerous areas. So that's when Sampaoli needs to step up, needs to have plan B. They lacked width. The build-up was very slow, it was predictable, and it was so reliant on Messi to produce the magic, and he simply wasn't quite at that level, combined with what Iceland were doing to nullify it.
And also, Shay, for a team that may be aspiring to go deep into the competition and maybe even reach the final and win it, did Argentina look a little bit one-dimensional to you? Because I heard you comment a few times that they were so narrow, but they remained narrow for the entire game.
Yeah, they didn't move the ball quick enough, as you say. They were trying to feed little balls to Aguero, and Messi was trying to get on little spaces. But to be fair to Iceland, they got probably 10, maybe even 11 players behind the ball at times, and it was so condensed in that middle part of the pitch. They had to get it wide. You know, move the back four, move the midfielder in front of them. They didn't move them at all. It was all little sort of intricate passes trying to, you know, play through the space. You've got to give Iceland great credit. I mean, this is their debut in the World Cup finals, and they're coming away playing against Argentina with the likes of Messi and Aguero, and they've come away with a draw. And, you know, you've got to give them great credit for what they've done, and you can clearly see that the manager has set them up defensively. They're very, very hard to break down, Iceland. OK, let's recap on those first half goals. It all started pretty well with Aguero putting Argentina in front, Keith.
Yeah, he was relatively quiet throughout the game, Sergio Aguero, but this is what he can do. The way he's able to manoeuvre this ball away from goal onto not his favoured left foot, orchestrate that type of effort right into the net past Halldórsson was a superb finish. Iceland replied very, very well. Magnussen backing up from left back. We mentioned at half-time, they do this really well, keep attacks alive after alive. Finn Bogason backs up play. He actually pulls into an area trying to create a bit of space, not content with that, backs up well, first to react, and it's a really composed finish to get them back on even terms, and they deserved it.
Yeah, and they showed many times during the first half that they were a threat going forward, Shay, when they did have possession on those rare occasions. But also you've pulled out a few examples of their shape and how that helped them defensively. Well,
defensively, I think as the manager got to take the great credit, because they would have known today they put Argentina with a lot of possession, a lot of, you know, ball retention, and how are they going to stop the likes of Messi and Aguero and Di Maria, and the shape they put in. You can see, you know, the 10 players behind the ball, so clearly 4-5-1 formation they have, and at times even Finn Bogason, the centre forward, was coming back into the space himself, and it's very difficult to break down. We said even off air, Peter, was they need to try and get it wide, they need to try and spread them more, and they're trying to, as I say, intricate passes where there was no space there. I mean, when Messi gets the ball, there's 2 and 3 players around him, and you can see here that they're well set up. As I say, they're in good shape, they're no panic. You can see clearly they work on the training ground doing this on a daily basis, and even here, look, Finn Bogason, he's coming back into defensive shape as well. That's your centre forward getting back in there, and now look at the numbers behind the ball. It's very, very difficult to break down, and they're sort of on the edge of the box as well. There's no real space between the back four and the goalkeeper. You can't play balls over the top. As I say, we see the shape again. But as I say, they would have worked clearly on this. The first game in the World Cup finals against Argentina and Messi and Co. And they've gone for a long-range shot. And I just feel that they look comfortable. Yes, Messi should have scored from a penalty and what have you. But at the same time, they never seem to panic. They never seem to be.
This doesn't happen by
never
fluke
seem to
either,
lose their
does
shape.
It takes the players buying into it, but ultimately the manager setting up in that type of fashion. They are so difficult to play against.
Isn't that the key for an international manager who doesn't have an awful lot of time to spend with his squad, unlike a club manager, for instance, to get his players, get them organised, get everybody singing off the same hymn sheet, everybody knowing what to do, and despite having no possession, as Iceland did, not no possession, but very little possession, Iceland showed you can get very good results.
You have to identify what you've got in your armoury, and they don't have outstandingly talented players. Sigurdsson is the one, but Sigurdsson has to get the ball in the final third. How often do they get there?
Yeah.
Not very often against good opposition.
Yeah.
But he identifies a defensive structure to be able to get them results. They build in confidence from that, and against weaker opposition you'll see them playing more, but against big teams they have a habit of doing this.
And what's majorly important for them is the mindset and the attitude, because we saw one incident there where Messi got away and there was actually a 3v2 or 3v3 situation, and what they did do really well today is to delay, because all you have to do is delay, and within 2 seconds they had 6, 7, 8 people behind the ball again, and it was very hard for Argentina to break him down. So they showed tactical nous and cleverness as well when it came to delaying the game to get bodies back behind the ball. So it was just an all-round defensively superb performance.
Yeah, great performance and a great result for Iceland, it has to be said, and possibly unexpected in many quarters. But at one stage during the second half, it looked like they may not get the draw, because once the penalty was awarded and Messi stepped up, we thought, oh, this is it, Argentina are going to go in front, but it didn't transpire. Didi, let's have a look at the incident that led to the penalty award in the first place.
Yeah, and he played a major hand in the build-up as well to the penalty. He plays a great ball in here. Magnusson comes in late.
Clumsy?
Yeah, clumsy. It's just, we see the timing take him again when the ball goes over the top and defenders block the forward, but he's just behind and he just knocks him over. It's a clear penalty. And then it also shows that geniuses can fail. It's not a good penalty. We talked about the penalty of Jelinek actually before. If you don't wait for the keeper to move, which I don't think many players do these days, then you've got to place it somewhere where even when the keeper goes the right way, it still goes in. But it wasn't in the corner. It was a perfect height for the goalkeeper. It's a good save, but it's a poor penalty.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Messi has missed 4 of his last 7 penalties in all competitions. So, although who was going to step up and say, hang on, I'll take it, Lionel? Not many on that Argentina side, maybe Paraguero. But let's talk about now, we're heading into that murky territory once again of VAR, because there's an incident in the penalty area where Argentina were denied a penalty. And I don't know if I'm correct in saying that the feeling here is that the referee should have called VAR on this occasion.
Well, this is the perfect incident why VAR was brought in.
Yeah.
It's a decision it's a wrong call on the field. But Pavon is here. He actually did more in 10 minutes than Di Maria did in 75 or 80 minutes. And there's contact. He goes down, loses balance. It's a clear penalty. And this is exactly the reason why it was brought in, to correct grave mistakes or wrong calls on the field. The ball is gone out of play, so they could have informed the referee to stop the play, because once the ball is back into play, he can't overturn the decision.
Yeah. The reason he's given that knock gone today is because I think he's got that good of a view, which was our first camera angle. And live, I didn't think it was a penalty, but as soon as we seen the replay, we were all fairly
Yes,
but they still have to inform him.
I agree.
They do. I mean, VAR and his assistants, they can recommend a review, they can't initiate a review, and the decision lies with the referee. So all we can read into that situation is the referee chose not to
If
hear.
the referee gets it clearly wrong, which I think he has got it wrong,
Yes,
surely these 4 guys with these monitors, with all these different replays, have got to say, I call that back. I think you need to come and have a look at this, like we've seen in the first game, and make your mind up again, because for me it's a clear penalty, and if they're going to use VAR, then they have to use it to their advantage, and I think they've got that wrong.
And it shouldn't be at his discretion, because I feel if people sit in the studio and watch it 2, 3 times, you've got to inform him. And I don't think the referee should be in a position then to say, no, I've seen it, it's not. Because obviously they've seen it 5 times, they've seen different angles. Yeah. They are more qualified to make their call. And, the talk about the whole VAR is, We don't want wrong calls like this.
Yes.
We want fairer results.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why I'm very opposed to VAR, because do we actually get a fairer result? You know, we had, what, 4 games now? Well, we don't know whether they would have scored a penalty, but they should have had a penalty. So in 4 games, we had 1 game where, with the technology, the call should have been overturned, and it hasn't. And so it's very hard for me to, you know, back in it or not losing faith towards that system, because if they don't go in this incident, you know, when do they?
Yeah, I don't think it should be the referee's decision either to call VAR or not call VAR, because he thinks, as Keith says, he's seen it.
Because
it's not a
it's such
penalty.
a
He
good
thinks
angle.
it's the angle he's seen, or maybe he's dived there. And if he has dived, he should have given him a yellow card as
Yeah.
well, which he didn't do. But I think somebody else, the guys in the truck or whatever, should say, you've got that wrong. It's our decision to tell the referee, come and have a look at this, because the ball's out of play, Peter. They have the time to go and look at it. It takes, what, 60 seconds?
The other view might be that those in the truck agreed with the referee's decision, having done their own check. They can do a check, they can recommend a review if they feel a review is necessary, but they may not have recommended a review.
And this is what we should find out, because obviously if you want to talk about the whole thing, you need to know the facts, and they make it more transparent by showing the incidents in the stadium now, and